Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today is the final episode of A Decade of Homelessness. This is a bonus video that I'm doing today, episode 8, and it's explaining why I had so many criminals living amongst my sanctuary homeless encampment. And it didn't start out that way. In 2018, once we had gotten the sanctuary titling, we had uh, official recognition all over Oakland, and people started coming to the encampment. But also, that attracts criminals. And here's the thing: when we set up the camp was uh, already very cohesive. Uh, we uh, we had our ring of fire. We had understanding of a majority of the people, the 32 that we had gotten up to, and then after 32, within 2 days, we literally doubled that to 63. And in that 63 were a lot of the problem children of Oakland. And what I refer to as problem children, these are the frequent flyers of OPD, domestic violence issues, drug addiction issues. Um, then we had to deal with the thugs and criminals coming in. And the thing was, we had the city of Oakland changed the agreement. They uh, they supposedly were going to give us police recognition so that if somebody had to be removed, they would remove them for us so that we didn't have to go to violent measures to remove problem children of um, the encampment. And what I eventually did, we had a sheet with the rules and regulations of the camp, and everybody was required to sign those those agreements in order to stay in the camp. None of the criminals said, they literally just took it and said, "We don't give a shit. We're just taking this spot here, and there's nothing you can do." And um, we called the police. We called Libby's office, Karen Boyd, to see what can be done. And that's pretty much Libby stabbed us in the back. She was mad at me already for what I had mentioned to her about the sanctioning, and that's why she didn't like. She was mad at me, and she also stopped. I mean, she literally stopped the project, the program that I had put together for self-sufficiency in a sanctuary homeless encampment. And so she changed all the rules, wouldn't give us any more support, and she literally said, and the police literally told us, we can't remove anybody, and we're not going to remove anybody. So you have to deal with these people and learn to live with them, because if they come in and set up, you and your camp have to accept them. We're not going to remove them unless there's a real problem. I said, there is a real problem. And this is because of the unstable police force that we had, because this was before LaRon Armstrong, and we were going through at least one new police chief every year for 8 years. We had more than 8 police chiefs in the 8-year span that I was on the street. It was hard to keep anything straight because uh, the police support that we were supposed to be given disappeared, literally disappeared. And so we were totally reliant upon the surveillance equipment and the surveillance cameras that we had set up from one end of the street to the other end of the street. Plus, we had cooperating businesses with supporting cameras also, and that's how we were able to really control the criminals. And here's one of the things that I did tell them. I was getting pretty tough on them. I said, look, I don't care what you do outside the camp. You do whatever your criminal heart's desire. You do it outside the camp. But as soon as you bring it inside the camp, there's going to be a problem. And these criminals brought problems. In fact, I'm going to show you a picture of one of the problems right now. So you see that truck in that picture? We had a person who stole that truck, a criminal. That was James. And James stole that brand new truck from a Ford dealership. And he was driving recklessly around Oakland, and because number one, he doesn't have a driver's license. Two, he doesn't have any insurance. Three, he doesn't have any sense, and he's one of the long career criminals. If you were to look at his background, I mean, his rap sheet is longer than my arm. Literally, he has so many crimes, and yet he still continues to walk and walk the streets of Oakland committing this chaos. In this case, with that truck, he nearly killed a family of 4 that lived in the neighborhood. He was speeding up and down 75th Avenue, and this family was coming home in their minivan, and he smashed into them at over 50 miles an hour in the neighborhood, on the neighborhood streets, smashed into the van and rolled the van over. Everybody in that family ended up at emergency because of him. And then what he did, he got out of the vehicle and ran back to my encampment, because he was on 75th. The encampment's on 77th. So he ran 2 blocks away. How we got it, because of what was going on and the severity. And a witness said, he ran towards that homeless camp. I said, okay, let me go pull some video. I got my phone out and started looking through the cameras, and lo and behold, I actually saw on another feed the actual crash that the police had. So they had his picture, and then when I saw it, and then I came back to the cameras that are in my encampment, and I literally followed that stupid SOB right back to his tent, and he was doing everything to hide, and he was looking suspicious. And so I went to the police officers after the family had already been gathered up and taken to the hospital and several ambulances. And I contacted the sergeant who was on the lead investigation on this, and showed him the video of the person. And he says, you know where this person is? I said, yeah, we'll go around the corner. I'll point out where he's at. In fact, here you see the tent in the video. That tent is the 3rd one in on the street. So they went and got him. They arrested James. James ended up doing a year in prison for that. No compensation, because number one, he's homeless. 2, he's a long-term criminal with no money, no assets, no nothing. And so there's literally nothing that poor family could do. Fortunately, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, when you have insurance, uninsured motorists and medical also cover you. So their van was replaced with their own insurance under uninsured motorists, and all the family was taken care of for their health needs with their full medical insurance of their own. And because number one, that new vehicle didn't have insurance, didn't have registration, so there's nothing that they can really do. They can go after the Ford dealer, perhaps, but trying to collect on that because it was stolen is pretty difficult. I can tell you, a lot of personal injury lawyers will tell you that's a very difficult one to win, and in some cases they don't even take you. Uh, that's how difficult it is. So anyway, um, I had to deal with these idiots throughout the street, and we're literally forced to have to put up with them. So that's why when the Ring of Fire had to go deal with some of these characters, we didn't play. We played hardball with them. And if we needed to get violent and get real violent, meaning that they had to be carried out at the location in an ambulance, that's what we needed to do. And that's what we did. Unfortunately, I lost my Ring of Fire, and that was to be expected. Number one, people move on. People go. I got people into housing in 2020, 2019. Housing start becoming available, and I was able to get all 32 people of my camp into housing. The only agency that would help me was Alameda County and the 501c3s that I work with, not the bullshit ones that the city of Oakland uses, the intervention. This intervention I deal with is a real intervention. They have real housing, they have real programs, and they deal with a lot of the drug addictions and a lot of the other elements that come up. And so the ones that the city uses are the worst possible. And criminals know what's going on, and they use their sheer numbers. Some of them are really dangerous, they're extremely violent, and that's where I lost a lot of people, because people got tired of being surrounded by these gangs, these groups, and being jumped. I was the only person that was sufficiently trained to deal with these young thugs, these young wannabe terrorists, because that's what they are. They're wannabe terrorists. And I had spent a 20-year career dealing one-on-one and personally with armies of um, terrorists. And we were the terrorists of the terrorists. So we scared the crap out of them. And I know how to do it. And when I first came back, my first job was to let everybody at my former camp and my now reestablishing camp, because I was kicking out all of the criminals, all the car thieves that were there. And I'm going to show you a picture. I had 30 police cars on a Saturday morning to clear out 17 known car thief criminals. Here's some of the pictures. So as you see, I have a lot of police activity in my camp constantly, and I kept uh, the criminals wondering. In fact, they even set up a two-story condominium. It took me 6 months to get that torn down by the city, because the city said, no, that's somebody's house. I said, no. What they're doing, they're warehousing parts and pieces off of all the cars that they steal, and then uh, they they're just hiding stuff in there. And I said, if you don't, what's going to end up happening? Somebody's going to set that place on fire, and it's going to be a really, really big fire because of how big this structure is, and it's all wood, and everything in there is dangerously flammable because it has gas and oils attached to it. And it literally took 6 months for the city to take that down. They had to come in, they had to inspect. They brought in people to talk with individuals about that structure. And finally, I had enough of them arrested and put behind bars that there was nobody there. And the city finally tore the thing down. And it was a good thing because there was a fire of the stuff that the city didn't move and remove. Some arsonists did come in and set fire to it, and that's the other thing. There are roaming arsonists throughout the city of Oakland who set fire to things in homeless camps, to homeless camps themselves, and to individuals. They're just arsonists. They see an abandoned vehicle, and they'll break into it and then set it on fire. And that's what's happened to a lot of things here. Usually those are RVs and trailers, and you've seen some of them that I posted here that went up in flames because of these arsonists. We had arsonists attacking the camps even, and cutting people's propane lines. And so when you started your heat or stove or anything, if you didn't smell the propane leakage, you could set your place on fire, because it doesn't take much to have a lighter right here, and you could be 3-4 feet away, but if you smell it and then you went, and then the flame comes in, you could ignite that and blow yourself up, and that happened a few times. Then we had drug dealers coming in and out. The drug dealers are the hardest ones to capture because you can't see them until somebody points them out, or you have an issue in the camp. And the issues that I had in the camp were fentanyl, meth, and crank. There are some pretty nasty drugs that I had to deal with, and the dealers. The dealers, when we caught them red-handed, oh yeah, we whooped up on them. We took their stuff, and we made sure that they got a message clear, loud and clear from our camp that they weren't welcome. And usually we broke an arm or broke a shoulder of that drug dealer. And if the drug dealer was armed, it would be a gunfight. Literally, it was a gunfight. Me and whoever that other individual was. And to let you know that we did have a drug dealer in that original suite. That drug dealer did remain on site for an additional month. And how I got rid of him was working with Oakland Police Department and some of the area officers. This was a no contact agreement with OPD. And so they really didn't have to do anything. And what they ended up doing, and what I suggested, was an interruption to this drug dealer's business. Literally just interrupting his business. How we interrupted his business, I knew when his busiest times were. And what we did, we agreed to have Oakland police officers, 1 or 2 cars, go park in the driveway of the business, because the business is closed, and just leave their red and blue lights on, and turn off the headlights. I told them, I would leave the headlights on, but you don't have to. And so that was enough of a disruption to that drug dealer, where it literally stopped all of his business for 10 days. He had no money. He got up and left. Him and his crew left. And so that's how I got rid of that drug dealer in the camp. He ended up shooting and killing one of his clients about a year later, because I literally had spoken to the victim just minutes before he killed her. And the reason why he killed her is because she didn't pay her drug bill. And so once she had gotten a bag of food from the resources here that I provide, she got around the corner. I heard the gunshot, and the poor gal literally was begging me for any kind of money that I might have had on my person to give to her so that she can give to her drug dealer. And I just don't carry cash, period. And I don't make it a habit of having anybody know when I do have cash, because having cash on the street is an invitation for trouble. But anyway, she got around the corner, halfway down the street. He shot her in the head. I knew who it was, because as soon as I had turned the corner, he was walking away, literally with the smoking gun in his hand. I didn't take any pictures, but I called the police, let police know who it was. In fact, I'm going to post his picture right here, right now, so that you can see who it was, because he's in prison right now and we don't give a shit about him. Okay, so that was Junior and his girlfriend. Junior had some issues with his leg, and because I was also a part of the healthcare system, I was a cab member for Alameda Health Systems, so I did get him medical treatment. So that was where I earned respect with him, and he left me alone. He didn't threaten me. He never gave me any problems because I was the only one on the street helping him with his. Um, he had an open wound that wouldn't heal, and so I managed to get him some health care. But he was also a real problem for the city of Oakland, because he murdered people, he sold drugs, and he really didn't care. And he had a very dangerous crew. He had a crew of 8 people that you had to go through to get to him. And I was able to go through his crew because they knew me and they knew I'm armed and I didn't fuck around. And when I wanted to talk to Junior, I spoke to Junior. Nobody impeded me. So um, it was tough. Let me tell you, a normal person, normal Joe here in Oakland, could not do what I was doing. And that's what made our camp unique. I was able to control a lot of the criminals. I made, I had respect from those that, even though they didn't want me and they wanted me dead, they did respect me, as I gave them equal respect in like kind. So there was a lot of work on my part and a lot of negotiations. So a lot of you folks that are saying, well, they're all criminals. No, they're not. There are a lot of really good homeless people that were just in bad situations. And those were the ones that I predominantly worked tirelessly for a number of years to get them into housing solutions that are more suitable to their needs and their wants at currently. Whereas the city and county weren't doing that. I was the only person who was doing that. And the homeless folks, even the criminals, knew that I was the source to get into housing or to get housing. And those that wanted it, I worked with them. Those that didn't want to work with it, I knew what was going on. They have no intention of going into housing because they don't need housing. They have housing somewhere else because of all their thievery. And they just have housing all over. In some cases, there are 30 locations on a single individual that they could have hideouts all over Oakland. So that's why it makes it extremely difficult for Oakland police officers, Alameda County deputy sheriffs, BART police, all of them, to nail some of these individuals. And then some of them aren't even from Oakland. They're from out of town. They're the tourist criminals. So Oakland's got a lot of problems here. Hopefully the new police chief, Floyd Mitchell, will be joining us here next month or by May. And hopefully he can turn things around. make some changes, stabilize the police department. We need to get more officers on the street. 719 officers is not enough and never will be, not for the size of the city of Oakland and the amount of crime that we have. We need to have closer to 850 to 900 officers on the streets to protect Oakland. And that my number isn't far off. That's what we need. And that includes community safety officers, which are the hired guns from security companies. That's a possibility. Training our residents to become community safety officers, which with that particular program that I have for community safety officers, you're also provided housing in the district that you work. And so there's 7 districts here in Oakland. You would be one of 60 personnel in that community safety officer program, and there would be housing included with the compensation package. So those are some of the things that I had to encounter in my decade of homelessness. City screwed us constantly. Libby, she used that self-governing event and she turned the tables on me and really made Oakland an undesirable place. So that was Libby's fault. It wasn't my fault. I put in place a program that the city would have adopted and would have worked very well. And we wouldn't need these third-party agencies that have no accountability. Everybody was going to be accountable under my program. Thank you for joining me today. What do you think about what has happened?